there's no denying that Rogue One was exciting, thrilling, breathtaking, and ultimately an excellent new chapter in the Star Wars saga. However, despite making sense of the Death Star's exhaust port, the Anthology movie inadvertently crafted some plot holes of its own. So with that in mind, let's take a look at 8 Rogue One A Star Wars Story moments which don't quite make sense. Number 8. Krennic should have known Jyn was a girl. In Rogue One's opening, during a recruiting visit to the Erso homestead, Orson Krennic called for his troopers to find it, referring to Galen and Lyra's daughter. Now you could argue, well, Krennic's evil. Of course he's going to refer to a child as an object and not a person. However, surely a more fitting description would have been beneficial, right? After all, Krennic was aware of Jyn's gender as confirmed with a flashback later in the movie. Number 7. Lyra didn't need to die. Sticking with the movie's introduction, when Jyn returned home to warn her parents of an incoming ship, they were already 2 steps ahead. Not only were they packing their clothes and essentials, Galen and Lyra were also in communication with Saw Gerrera. The grizzled war veteran told them that they know what to do, meaning they had a plan in place for that exact situation. So why did Lyra run into the open to face a unit of Death Troopers and Krennic? I mean, given the fact Galen lied about his wife's passing, she could have just went with Jyn to the spacious hidden cave, right? Sure, sitting idly by while a loved one is taken to serve an evil empire is awful, but why risk leaving your daughter to live a life alone? Number 6. Saw didn't need to die. Yes, Lyra Erso wasn't the only one to die for no good reason. Surely Forrest Whitaker had something else to do during the second half of filming, because his character's passing felt bizarre. Saw Gerrera spent decades of his life trying to rid the galaxy of the Empire. Even in the face of life-changing injuries, he continued to fight. As a result, his decision to simply give up makes no sense, especially when he could have offered a great deal of experience and tactical prowess in the Battle of Scarif. Number 5. Jyn's change of heart. Despite failing to pull the trigger, Cassian Andor deserved to feel the wrath of Jyn for the attempt on her father's life. However, her anger towards the captain dissipated pretty fast. What's more, Jyn had no qualms about working with the people who outright killed Galen. Weird, right? Number 4. Rogue One's easy getaway. For a group who were explicitly told to stay in the Rebel Alliance's headquarters, and certainly not take flight in an impounded Imperial craft, Jyn and company sure found it easy to escape Yavin 4. Considering that the faction sought to avoid a galactic war, they sure didn't seem fussed about chasing after a rogue captain, an Imperial defector, a criminal and a bunch of mercenaries on their way to steal the Death Star plans. Number 3. Poor disguises. Disguises aren't exactly new to the Star Wars saga. In fact, hiding underneath the floorboards of a craft as a means to ambush an enemy only to re-emerge in their uniforms is a tactic which debuted in A New Hope. Those disguises worked perfectly due to the Stormtrooper helmet. However, in Rogue One, Cassian could only don an officer's outfit, leaving his face uncovered. Nearby Imperials should have recognised the alteration as a result, but they didn't. Number 2. Floppy disks and hyperdrives. Admittedly, this one's a bit harsh, simply due to the era in which Episode 4 was released. Regardless, in a galaxy full of hyperdrives, lightsabers, and other incomprehensibly futuristic technology, using essentially floppy disks to store data doesn't feel right at all. I mean, have the Empire not heard of MacLeod? Hashtag not a sponsor. Number 1. LEIA'S diplomatic mission. The ending of Rogue One is incredible. It follows a good 20 minutes of spectacular action and tension to perfectly set up A New Hope. And what more can I say about Darth Vader's final scene? Wow. Unfortunately, the climax isn't perfect. With Leia's CGI cameo and the Tantive 4's sudden jump to hyperspace, we know that Rogue One ends nearly exactly where Episode 4 begins. So why does Leia tell Vader she's a member of the Imperial Senate on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan? The Dark Lord literally watched her ship depart his very grasp with the Death Star plans. No way would Vader fall for that. As I've made very clear, I massively enjoyed Rogue One, and honestly, a lot of these points can be explained in one way or another. However, it was worth pointing them out nevertheless. So how do you feel about each plot hole? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and for more Rogue One related content, keep a look here to the gangsters. Because Star Wars is so great, we look past some obvious flaws, such as, why is there noise in space? Why is space romance so bad? However, there are some things we just can't get over. And no, I'm not talking about the prequels. I'm talking about plot holes. Whether it was George Lucas failing to tie up loose ends in episodes 1 to 3, or backwards technology because of when the original trilogy was released, there are a ton of plot holes in the Star Wars films. So let's take a look at the top 10.